Hey y'all, my name is Christian. I'm a millennial, and this is the Millennial Mind. Millennials get a bad rap for being lazy, non-productive members of society. We also get told that our opinions are warped and don't matter. This podcast is designed to express a point of view on the world as a whole, but from a millennial's perspective. I will talk about love, current events, pretty much everything that comes to mind. Come join me on this journey on speaking my mind, and I would love for you to speak your mind as well. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of The Millennial Mind. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey of speaking my mind, and I hope that all of you are speaking your mind as well. Okay, this week is part 2 of the 30 things I have learned by the age of 30. If you have not listened to part 1, pause this really quick, pause it right now, and go listen to last week's episode, part 1, and then you can resume listening to this week's episode, part 2. So I'm just going to get right into it. The 16th thing that I have learned by the age of 30, racism is real. Okay, so for a good portion of my life, I would say for all of elementary school, I went to a predominantly African American school because, of course, I'm African American. And I lived in a predominantly African American community. When I got to high school, my parents moved, or me and my family moved to a predominantly white area. So for the majority of high school, I would say from sophomore year to senior year, I was at a predominantly white school. And I experienced so much racism. It is crazy. Just to give you a couple of things that I went through. First of all, to give you a little bit of background, out of my class of 830-something students, there was about 5 African American students. So just to give you an idea of how much we were the minority in that school. It was about 5 of us, including myself. I was labeled as the black girl. They refused to learn what my name was. They just called me the black girl, okay? There was another instance where I remember Hurricane Katrina had just happened, and we were talking about it in class. And one of my classmates, who was a white male, said, "Oh, well, those black people deserve to die in Louisiana because of yada, 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 yada." I'm like, wait a minute, what? What? So all of these racist experiences that I had, it just got worse over time. And that was just in high school. High school, I wasn't brave enough to say anything. Now I'm at a point where I'm brave enough to say something. But I can see that there's nothing new under the sun. It's still happening, and it looks like it's trying to get worse. When we think about George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Trayvon Martin and Sandra Bland and other African American men and women who have died because of individuals who are exhibiting racism, it just breaks my heart. And it just makes me just more aware that everyone in this world doesn't have good intentions. Everyone in this world isn't going to like you. Everyone in this world, just do not have the same views as you. There are going to be some people who will hate you just because of the color of your skin. It's something I can't take off. It's not something that I can remove. And I don't want to remove it. I love my black skin. I'm comfortable in my black skin. And, I'm just more aware of people's hatred for others. And it doesn't really have a foundation. It's just hate just for no reason. And I've gotten to the point now where, I don't care if you hate me. You can hate me from way over there. Just don't touch me. And I'm just praying for your soul, because God forbid something happens to you and you wake up before an awesome God, and this God is questioning you as far as your actions during your life. You're going to be looking real pitiful. So it's okay, if you want to be, and I'm not condoning racism, but I'm just saying, if you want to be racist, go ahead. Just, don't touch me, and just know that I am aware of your racist tactics. And frankly, I don't care. Okay, moving along. Number 17, life can be unpredictable. Life can throw some things at you that you were not expecting and that you were not looking for. I will give you a couple of examples, and this can be good and this can be bad as far as life being unpredictable. But I'm going to share the good things. So I remember always watching Wheel of Fortune as a child. I used to love that show. Even as a teenager and becoming a young adult, I would always watch that show. It was just something about Wheel of Fortune that I liked. I don't know if it was the wheel or whether it was the Vanna White wearing all of these pretty dresses. And for all of my international listeners that are listening, Wheel of Fortune is an American puzzle game show. Okay, real popular. It's been around for years. So I will always apply. For Wheel of Fortune, especially when I got of age. I will always apply because I thought, hey, it would be interesting to be a contestant on Wheel of Fortune. Like, come on now, it's Wheel of Fortune. So I remember I was a junior in college, and I was on campus with my friend Renee. We actually did a podcast episode previously, so listen to that as well. I was in the library with her. I was looking through my email, and I saw an email about auditioning for Wheel of Fortune. I was like, this cannot be real. I told Renee, like, this can't be real. She was like, girl, you better look into that. So I called my mom immediately. I'm like, I just got an email saying that I should audition for Wheel of Fortune, or it's giving me the opportunity to audition for Wheel of Fortune. And of course, she was in unbelief too. But I was trying to find, like, where was the scam at? I was looking for the scam. And they said that the audition was going to be held at the Palmer House in downtown Chicago, which is a real popular high-class hotel in Chicago. So I was like, they probably wouldn't have auditions there if it was a scam. It would be some kind of dilapidated building or something. So my mom was like, okay, we'll try it and see what happens. I went down there and I went to the Palmer House, and it was completely legit. It was legit. And when I say that I clowned like that entire audition, I clowned. I was solving puzzles. I was jumping up and down. I was screaming. And the weeding out process was there as well. So we started out with maybe over 100 potential contestants. They eventually narrowed it down to about 25. I was part of that 25. And after the audition, they said, if we want you on the show, we will send you a postcard and letting you know when your show is going to be. So maybe about a month or so later, I did get that card, which was, it was just mind-boggling. I did get that card saying that they wanted me to be on the show. So the summer after my junior year of college, I flew to LA to be on the show. I was able to meet Pat Sajak and Vanna White. It was just such a life-altering experience that I know a lot of people can't say that they did, but I can say it. It was amazing. Getting my makeup done, actually seeing the wheel and the studio, which was a lot smaller than I thought it would be. It was just crazy. And this was something that I've always wanted and would have never called that I would actually experience, but I was able to experience it. Unfortunately, I did not win, but I did get a pretty good cash prize. I'll just leave it at that. That allowed me to, that helped me rather to pay for the rest of my college tuition and helped me to pay for some application fees for law school. So just having that experience, and I was 21 years old. What 21-year-old do you know has been on the game show? It's just, it's insane. I would have never called it at all. And let's fast forward maybe about 5 years. I saw the opportunity to audition for Family Feud. I got myself and 4 other family members together, and we auditioned for Family Feud. We clowned on that episode as well. Turned out, maybe about a couple weeks later, we got the call or the email saying that they wanted us on the show. We flew out to Atlanta to be on the show, which was being hosted by Steve Harvey. And I think Family Feud is still being hosted by Steve Harvey. And for my international friends, Family Feud is another American game show that is really popular here. It's been on for years as well. So for Family Feud, I was able to see another studio again, go through seeing Steve Harvey or meeting him, which was amazing. And of course, we did not win, but just to have that experience to be on national television, not just once, but twice, it was just amazing. I would have never called that either. And I kind of view myself as like a game show professional because I've been on 2 already. But that's an experience that I'll never forget. 2 experiences, rather, that I will never forget. And I will always hold dear to my heart because that is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Okay, number 18. It is up to you to turn a bad situation into something good. So, when I got married, my husband, he already had a house. It wasn't a house that I would have picked out, but it was still a house. And me coming from my parents' house to my husband's house, I'm like, hey, you already got a house. It would be kind of unwise to go out and try to get another house when you already have one. So, and the mortgage payment is low. Let's just, try to make the best of it. But in my heart, I knew that I didn't want to, because this wasn't a house that I wanted. Everything about the house I just did not like. From the outside to the inside, I just did not like it. So I remember talking to my mom about it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just really suffering here. This just isn't what I wanted. I feel like I'm just drowning in this house because, of course, there's so many cosmetic things that needs to be done, just so much stuff that needs to be done on top of course, cleaning and all of that. It was just becoming overwhelming. And so I would go off on my husband about it. Like, I hate it here. This is a ghetto. I don't like it. Like, I was not raised like this. Like, I went through the whole spiel. It was horrible. So my mom said, you have to get to the point where you have to stop blaming your husband for why you are suffering in that house and make it your own. That's your responsibility. So if you want to have a better experience in this house, that's something that you're going to have to contribute to. Make that contribution. So I was like, you know what, Mama? You done spoke a word. So what I decided to do was take some initiative to make the cosmetic changes on my own. So I brought my mom and my uncle over to help me paint, put some flowers outside, put some different decorations in the house. And after about 3 years, I've gotten to the point where I'm actually enjoying the house because I've made it my own. So that's just one example, but I'm sure that there are other situations that you all have gone through that were bad, and just something that caused a whole dent in your life. Do not dwell on that and cause that situation to ruin the rest of your life. Don't make that the whole story of your life when it should be only one chapter or even one paragraph of a chapter. Take the initiative to make things better on your own, to give your life another story, basically turning a bad situation into something good. And that's something that I try to do for everything and will continue to do through my 30s. Number 19. It's okay to stand up for yourself. It is okay. As a young girl, I remember when people would talk about me or yell at me or do something mean to me, I would just cry. I would cry. I wouldn't say like, hey, who you think you talking to? You can't talk to me like that, or any of that. I would just cry. As I got older and older, the crying became overrated. It became overrated, and it did not fix the problem. People will treat you the way that you allow them to treat you. So at some point, I decided to speak up and say, hey, I'm treating you as a decent human being. I expect the same in return. Because people won't treat you right because you just want them to treat you right. Sometimes you have to tell them, hey, this is how I want and deserve to be treated. And if you don't stand up for yourself, really nobody else will. So that was a lesson that I learned, and I kept learning over and over and over and over again until I actually got it. That it's okay to stand up for myself. If I see that I've been treated wrong or that someone is talking to me pretty disrespectfully, it's my job to stand up for myself because no one else will. And if I don't, that's teaching the person, like, hey, this is okay for me to treat this person that way. And I never want to allow someone to have that form of thinking, that it's okay to treat Christian however I want to because I feel like it. No, there is a limit, boo-boo. There is a boundary that I'm putting there. Like, do not cross this line, or else, there could be some repercussions. So, and you know what? This has even gone to my family as well. Like, I have family members who still see me as a little girl, and it's been difficult to kind of show them, like, hey, I'm an adult. I have my own job, my own husband, I was about to say my own kids. I don't have kids yet, but work with me. I have my own bills, own house, everything. I am not a little girl anymore, so you can't talk to me like that. And I'm getting to the point now where I'm starting to stand up to them as well, saying, hey, there's a line, there's that line again that you can't cross. If you cross it, there's going to be some repercussions. So I've just learned over time that it's okay to stand up for myself, whether it's against strangers, friends, or even family. Even employers. I have stood up to employers as well. And it makes me feel good as well that I've stood up for myself and done something for myself. To me, that's a form of self-care, standing up for myself. So, yeah. Okay, moving right along, number 20. Number 20, growth does not stem from perfection. So, growth, when you're growing, it can be a hard process. It can be a process that hurts. Because when you're growing, you're making mistakes. You're trying to figure things out. You're experimenting. And sometimes that could lead you down a wrong road, and sometimes that could lead you to the right road. It just really depends. But growth does not mean that you have to be perfect all the time. Growth, sometimes you're going to stand up on your own 2 feet and you're going to stand up pretty strong. Other times you may fall flat on your face, but that's okay. You get back up and you keep trucking, and you think like, hey, okay, that didn't work. Let me try something else. And I think that is the overall notion of growth. It's not perfection, but it's trucking along, and even if you stumble or you fall, getting back up and still continuing to carry on. And I think that's what a lot of successful people have realized is, it's not about perfection. It's not about trying to get everything right. It's about making mistakes. Making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and moving on. And that's growth. It's not perfection. It's carrying on even when you're making mistakes. So that's something that I certainly want to continue on through my 30s. It's just embracing growth, embracing making mistakes, embracing failure, because perfection isn't the end all to be all. If you're perfect at everything, that means you're not growing, because you're not learning anything. You're not making mistakes. So, of course, there's no growth. Growth means making mistakes. Sometimes it means failing. But that's okay. You need that in order to move forward. Okay, moving along. Number 21. It's okay to say yes. And what I mean by that is it's okay to say yes to things that may scare you. I actually read a book. I listened to a book rather on Audible from Shonda Rhimes. Her book was called The Year of Yes, which, if you haven't read that or listened to it on Audible, please do. It will change your life. And in that book, she was basically saying that she decided for a year to say yes to everything because she usually said no. And because she said yes to everything, she was able to participate in opportunities that she normally would not have because she would have said no to it. So my goal is to say yes to things that scared me. And sometimes I succeeded at this, sometimes I didn't. And it's something that I'm constantly working on. I'm trying to say yes more to networking opportunities because I'm an introvert, and sometimes it overwhelms me to be around a lot of people all the time. But networking will allow me to meet people who are on the same path as me or who are in the same area as me, and it may allow me to learn some things. So if I say yes to these things, even if it scares me, I think it will give me more opportunities that I never would have taken. And moving along from that, number 22, even though it's okay to say yes, it's also okay to say no. It's okay to say no to marriage. It's okay to say no to having kids. It's okay to say no to a college degree at 21 and instead getting it at 31 or 41 or 51 or 61. It is okay. Like, for example, with me and my husband, we decided to wait on kids. We made the decision mutually that we wanted to get to know each other more in our marriage and just enjoy each other and not just pop out kids. Now, of course, I get the question. I get the question all the time, like, okay, when are you going to have kids? Yada, 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 yada. And I'm like, well, whenever I get ready, whenever me and my husband are ready, that's when we will have them. And that's okay. It's okay not to, or it's okay to say no to certain things that a lot of people have said yes to earlier on. That doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're not on the right path. You just have different paths just like everybody else, and that's all right. Okay. So, and I'm just keeping count of how many I've did or how many I've done. So that was actually number 22. I think I said 21, but it's okay to say no. That was number 22. So number 23. Being my authentic self is the best thing that I could do for myself. So, being my authentic self, so basically being me. There would be so many times where I would try to be someone else because I saw that it was working for them. So I felt like if it was working for them, then, that's all inclusive too for me. Now, it worked for them because they were being themselves. And they're good at being themselves. So if they're good at being themselves, why do I think that I can't be good at being myself? Because that's what I can do well, is be myself. And you notice that anytime someone tries to portray someone else instead of being authentic, it never really works out. It always it's short-lived. The best thing that I can do is be myself, and there's going to be someone who's going to like it. But even if there isn't anyone who likes it, I like it. And if I'm comfortable in my own skin, that is all that matters. So I had to learn to appreciate my authentic self early on. It was a process. And of course, it still is a process. It's a daily process because there may be some things that I don't like about myself. But I still have to appreciate everything that I've gone through, all my flaws, all my successes, all my failures, all the things that I like about myself, because all of that comprises of Christian. And that's something that has made me the woman that I am today. Okay, y'all, so we're going to take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsor, and we will be right back. This podcast is sponsored by Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere, even on platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Once again, you can download the Anchor app, that's ANCHOR, or go to anchor.fm to get started. Okay, y'all, so we're back. So moving on to number 24, not meeting milestones in the time frame allotted by society is okay. And this kind of went on of what I was saying for it's okay to say no. So I always thought that I was supposed to get married by the time I graduated from college. Then I was supposed to have kids by 25 and live happily ever after. Because that's almost kind of what happened to my mom. But she got married at 25 and had her first child at 27. So she was a little bit off of what I was looking for. In college, I remember that there was a campaign as far as getting hitched by the time you graduate college. So I was excited. I'm like, yes, I'm going to get married by the time I graduate college. It did not happen that way at all. And so I was thinking, like, is there something wrong with me? Like, why am I not getting married? But why did I want to get married? I had no answer. I just thought it was the right thing to do. And you know what? I didn't get married until I was 26. Almost 27, actually. And you know what? That was okay. And honestly, I think if I would have gotten married at 22 years old, I probably would have been divorced because in no way was I mature enough to be married. I was not mature enough to be a married woman, okay? So it's okay. It's okay if you don't meet the milestones that society has laid out for us, even with children, like I was saying before. Like, I'm 30 right now, and I don't have a child, and I'm okay with that. I am okay. I am okay with enjoying my husband, not spitting out kids, as soon as I get married. Now, for those of you who have done that or who want to do that, that's fine as long as it's something that you want to do and you're not doing it because you think you have to do it. Because my decision to wait on having kids is one of them is because I don't have the urge to have kids. I just don't have that urge. And two, I don't want to get to the point where when I have a kid, I regret having it because I wasn't ready. So I want to make sure that I'm ready. And if that means that I have a kid at 35 instead of 25, so be it. But I want to make sure that I'm ready, and I want to make sure that my husband is ready too. So it's okay. You when you're trying to hit a milestone, you hit it in the time frame that you want to hit it or that you're comfortable in. Don't let society and what people tell you about when you're supposed to hit your milestones dictate when you're supposed to hit your milestones. You hit it in the time frame that you are comfortable in. Okay, moving along. Number 25. I am not my hair. So, for the majority of my childhood, I was in, my hair was natural, meaning that it was in its kinky state. There was a point in time where I had a relaxer because my mom, she was tired of dealing with my natural hair. And I remember having a relaxer at the age of 4, which I know a lot of people think is young, which it probably is. But my mom, she was just tired of dealing with my hair. But I remember feeling more confident in my hair when it was straightened and relaxed compared to when it was kinky. I never wanted my hair to be kinky. I used to always hate the twists that my mom would put in my hair or the braids that my mom would put in my hair because everyone else had relaxed hair. So that's what I wanted. But I come to realize that was me not wearing my natural hair. That was me not really being my authentic self, because I wasn't appreciating all of me. I was trying to portray something that I was not. And my hair, my kinky hair, is what was growing out of my scalp. Now, I'm not saying that individuals who have relaxed hair are not being their authentic selves. If you love your relaxed hair, and that's fine. And that's something that you should live in because you're comfortable with it. What I'm saying is me having relaxed hair, I wasn't being my authentic self because I felt like having relaxed hair was what I should do instead of something that I felt really comfortable with. So probably about a couple years ago, I remember wanting to transition from relaxed hair to natural hair because when I was a teenager, I switched back to getting my hair relaxed again. I remember having that opportunity to transition, which I did. I got braids to kind of speed up the transition process. And I remember I had taken out the braids because it had been a long time since I had braids. So I really did the takedown process completely wrong. When you take down your braids, you're supposed to detangle your hair before you wash it. I did not. I just went in the shower and washed my hair, and there were knots all over my hair. So a lot of my hair just came out, and I was just upset. And I'm like, wait a minute, why am I upset about this? Like, this hair can grow back, and this is what I wanted. I wanted my relaxed ends to go away, and I wanted my natural hair to show. So why am I trying to keep this little bit of relaxed hair that I have left? It's time to let it go. So I remember going to a hair school because all of the hair services would be cheap. And I told them to cut it off. Just cut it all off. So they cut my hair so that my relaxed hair showed. And I had a small little fro. And I remember looking in the mirror and thinking like, this is me. This is the true me. This is something that I'm comfortable with. So I am being my authentic self. And some people, they may not like short hair for whatever reason. And my hair is still shorter, but it's grown a lot since I cut it. But I felt like this was the one time where my hair did not control me. I controlled it as far as what I wanted to do with it. And I was so happy with the outcome. And I realized that I am not my hair. I'm more than just my hair. I am a human being. I have a personality. I have characteristics that make up who I am. It's not just my hair. And that's something that I carry with me. Moving along, number 26. Being open-minded can be life-altering. So I didn't really learn this until I met my husband. I believe before I met my husband, I was kind of closed-minded, because and that kind of ties into with how I was raised. I was raised to be on the straight and narrow, and that's what I did. But when I met my husband, and of course when I got out into the real world, I realized that there's more to life than just the straight and narrow. You can't be so straight and narrow where you don't see what's going on around you. And sometimes what may be going on around you is not harmful. It's good. So my husband really taught me how to be open-minded to other ways of life, other activities. Like, for example, I remember my husband told me that he wanted to take me to Comic-Con, which, if you're not familiar with Comic-Con, it is a convention for all things pop culture, but primarily like what people classify as nerdy things. So like superheroes, anime, things like that. And I'm thinking, I do not want to go to this. This is like a nerd thing. I'm not a nerd. This is going to be really boring. But I said, you know what, let me just try it. And, if I don't like it, I just don't like it. If I like it, cool. I went to this convention and I had a blast, okay? I had an absolute blast. I met one of my all-time favorite actors. Well, he was my favorite. He's not like completely mainstream as far as acting is concerned, but whatever. His name is Michael J. White. And what I realized is that Michael J. White, actually, that's not what he started out doing, is acting. He's actually a martial artist. Blew my mind. I had no idea. And he's a really good martial artist. Like, he knows a lot of different martial art areas. So I was like, what? Like, my mind is blown. I would have never known that if I didn't go to Comic-Con. So that's just one example. Like, I learned so much at that convention, and of course met somebody that I really wanted to meet. And just think, if I would have said, no, I don't want to do this, I would have never met Michael J. White. Come on now. So being open-minded opens you up to life itself, and opens you up to things that you think that you may not like, but it may be an opportunity for you to learn something new. Moving along, number 27, questioning God is okay. So, as a child, growing up in the church, I always learned that you never question God for things that are happening in your life. But after a while, it's like, if you can't question God, who do you question? Who do you question? God has all the answers. That's what we're taught. So why don't we ask him, like, why are these things happening if he has all the answers? Like, that never kind of made sense to me. So it's okay to question God as far as, why is my life going this way? Why did you allow me to go through this? Why did you allow this to happen? It's okay, because the only person who has the answer is God. You don't have the answer. Your parents don't have the answer. Your friends don't have the answer. Your coworkers don't have the answer. God is the only one who has the answer. So it's all right. It's all right to question him because he has the answers. So what better person to ask than God? What better person to question but God? It's all right. You are not going to go to hell for questioning God. Number 28, self-care is important. Yes. So self-care, I learned, is something that has to be a part of my daily life. I was at a point where especially when I started working, I would say my real job, which is like my legal job, I would go, some time without going to the doctor or without eating, and I wind up having a breakdown. My body kind of was like, yeah, I've just had enough of this treatment. I am done. And I was laying in the hospital thinking like, why am I here? What am I doing here? And I was there because I wasn't taking care of myself. And of course, my body can only take so much. So it's like, yeah, I'm shutting down in 3, 2, 1. So I learned that in order for my body to take care of myself, in order for my body to take care of me, I have to take care of it. So constant stress is not helping my body to take care of me. Not going to the doctor when I'm supposed to make sure that I'm healthy is not allowing my body to take care of me. So I made a conscious decision to do things that benefited me and doing things that allowed me to care for myself so that my body could take care of me. And getting to the point to realize that it's not selfish. It is not selfish for me to care for myself, because if I don't care for myself, I can't do anything else. I can't be the best wife I can be. I can't be the best daughter that I can be. I can't be the best worker that I can be if I don't take care of myself. So taking that initiative to better care for myself, that was something that I learned in my late 20s, which is sad. I should have learned that earlier on. It's something that I learned in my late 20s and something that I certainly want to carry on into my 30s. Number 29, working towards financial freedom should be the end goal. Now, I heard somebody say this, or maybe it was a post on social media. They were basically saying, why did my parents teach me about getting a job instead of teaching me about wealth? I was like, whoa, that is mind-blowing. Like, why is that the case? And especially in the African American community, parents, they always teach you like, hey, get a good job, get you a good government job because there's good benefits, all of that. But they never teach you how to generate wealth. And they did the best they could. They taught us that because that's all that they knew, and that's all that their parents knew, and all that their parents' knew. It's just a generational thing. But I've learned that it's okay if you don't want to get a job. It's okay if you want to be an entrepreneur. It's probably even better to be an entrepreneur because you're learning how to generate wealth for yourself. And when you generate wealth, you're on your road to financial freedom, which means you're eliminating debt and you're increasing your income so that you can eliminate debt. And that financial freedom is a goal that me and my husband have. We've actually generated a plan to get rid of our debt. We're getting rid of all smaller bills first and rolling the payments for those smaller bills into the larger bills so that we can pay off our debt. And we're doing pretty well now. We've paid off a substantial amount of debt already. And we are working towards that financial freedom. And that's something that I definitely want to teach my kids whenever I have them, about financial freedom. And that it's okay to want to break out on your own and start your own business. That's fine. But you want to make sure that you are generating wealth. You want to make sure that you're working towards financial freedom so that debt isn't swallowing you up where you can't do what you want to do in life. Financial freedom is the end goal. And the last one, number 30. Number 30. 30 is not old. Okay? That is number 30. 30 is not old. I feel like at 30, I'm just beginning to stabilize in life. I'm starting to appreciate myself and learn more about myself. I feel like I'm on the road to doing more or accomplishing more. Just 30, I feel like I'm just getting started in life. I feel like I'm just getting started. And I can't wait to see what these 30s hold for me. But that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this 2-part series on 30 things that I have learned by the age of 30. What have you learned in your life, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever? What have you learned? Email me. Send me an email at mindofmillennials@gmail.com. You can also share a comment on our Facebook page, The Millennial Mind, or our Instagram page, _Millennial Mind. And of course, I always have a quote for you guys. And it is as follows. Stop looking for happiness in the same place you lost it. Woo! If that ain't a word, I don't know what is. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And until next week, I will see you guys soon.